Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Rafael from the Java Challengers initiative, and today we're going to see a Java Challenger about object references. Okay, so in this Java Challenger, we have here string and then a string buffer, and then we are passing those parameters to the test refs method, and we are assigning to null both variables there. And then I'm going to ask you, what is the output? I'm going to give you some time to think, and when you're ready, feel free to reach out with the answer. Are you ready to see the answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's see then. What's the answer? Ta-da-da-da. Oh,
Oh,
yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't this time, Farah. Okay, but let's see why it is this answer. And the important thing is that we are going to learn. So that's the main thing of the Java Challengers. Okay, so let's see why. So one thing that is highly important to perceive here is that a string is immutable. This string will never be changed. Okay, so once it's assigned here, at least this object will never be changed. And on the other hand, with StringBuffer, it's different because it's not immutable. So when we invoke this method testRefs, we send here an immutable string and a mutable string buffer. So let's see here then. We can even debug to make it more clear. Okay, so let's go. So we have knight on the string and we have sword on the string buffer. Then let's go here to this method. And yeah, as you can see here, we are concatenating the string with the string buffer, and we are assigning to this string. But as we said before, strings are immutable. So here it will be assigning to another string object. So it's not the same object from here, okay? But on the other hand, when we use the string buffer, we are appending a value here. And when we append this value here, it's gonna be just changed. So this object reference will be changed, okay? So the value here will be sword knight sword. And then let's go here. Yeah, so the main takeaway here is that string buffer is mutable and string are immutable. So if we change this object in another method or anywhere, the final value of this object will be changed. And then that's why we have this output. Yeah, so we have knight and sword knight sword. So do you have any questions?
yeah. So I do have a question, and the reason why I said SB equal to sword is because I thought that since string buffer is defined in the main method, which means it's a local variable. Yeah, it's passing the reference of the local variable to the other method, which is test refs. For some reason, I thought that the string buffer, even though string buffer is a mutable class, I thought that for some reason, since it's passing the value by reference to the test-refs method, um, the sb.append in test-refs is basically having its own copy rather than basically appending on the same string buffer, because I thought SB is a kind of a local to main, and I did not necessarily think that it would it would it would basically maintain a kind of a global copy of
Okay.
SB.
Okay, let me explain this concept then. So every parameter is passed in the ByValue standard. So what does that mean? It means that we pass a copy of this value, okay? But remember also that Java keeps the object reference. So here, for example, we are creating an object, and this variable is pointing to an object in the heap memory. So it's pointing to the string buffer object. And then when this variable is passed here, we are passing just the reference. It's a copy of this value, but it's a copy of the reference that has access to the object that was created on the memory heap.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see.
And then when we pass this reference that points to this object, we are actually changing this object, and the variable will be just thrown away here. I mean, we can throw null here, we can do whatever we want with this variable because it's not the important thing, because as we still have the object here, the object is alive. So that's why when we change this object here, when we append this string value here, the object will be changed and not the variable. The variable is just a pointer.
Right. But then can you also explain, Rafa, as to, when SB is assigned null, why is it still then bringing the value of string buffer? I thought it should be null then in that case, right?
Yeah, so it's a very good question, Fra. So the reason of that is because, as I said, Java passes all its parameters by value. What does that mean? It means that it's passing just a copy. Okay, so here it's a copy. It's not the real object. It's not the real variable here. So when we pass this string buffer here, it's just a variable that is pointing to this object. So here we are changing the object because we are just accessing the append method and putting another value into this object. But remember that this is just a reference. This is just a copy. So here you can see that we are not accessing the object. We are just manipulating this variable. And remember that this variable is nothing more than a reference. So we can assign null here. It's fine. The only thing that will be affected is the variable here on this method. But the object that was created on the memory heap is there yet. Why it's there yet? Because the object is still accessible here, because the object is still alive.
Right.
So just to sum up, we are just affecting the local variable. It's not the object.
I see.
Here you can realize that we are invoking the append method, and the append method is directly from the string buffer object. So that really changes the object that is the memory heap. So that's really different. But once we just interact with the variable, it doesn't matter, just nothing happens.
Okay.
That would be different. So for example, if we do that here, so the object would be unreachable. It would be impossible to reach the object. So if we do that here, this object would be eligible to be collected by the garbage collector.
Right.
Because there's no way to reach this object anymore. Because here it's the only place that the object is stored. So if we assign to null here, the object is it's about to be collected.
Okay. And also it will not throw the null pointer exception, right? Because you are not trying to basically access that particular object in an array, I would say. Or will it throw a null pointer exception?
It's because, as I said, every Java method passes just a copy. So when we pass this variable here, it's just a copy. So this value here will continue with the object.
Right.
So nothing will change here. It will only change if we access the object here on the append method.
Okay, got it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's pretty much it of this challenge. Or do you have any further questions, Farah?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Perfect. So thank you very much for participating on this challenger. I'll just gonna stop sharing my screen. Okay, guys, so that was the challenger of today. So we could see that Java passes its parameters by value. So which means that every single parameter Java passes to any method, it's really a copy of the variable. It's not the real variable. But as you know, when we are working with objects, we are pointing to objects in memory heap, which means that if you change a reference variable that points to that object, you would be changing the object. But you could realize as well that if we make any changes in the reference variable, it doesn't matter. You can put null there, but the object is still alive in the scenario of this challenger. So I hope it's clear for you, and hope that makes really clear how Java works with objects, because that will make a big difference in your code. And that's it for this challenger. And if you want to know more, you go to javachallengers.com, and then you can access a lot of content there. You can take Java quizzes on Oracle DevGym as well, and you can improve your Java skills. So that's it for this challenger, and yeah, see you next time.